Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving straight into a totally mind-bending cosmic mystery from the fascinating source text, Two Funerals in the Same Body. What makes this thriller so incredibly unique is that the villain isn't a person, or a monster, or, some alien invasion. It's actually a literal law of physics, the second law of thermodynamics. It is a story that bridges the gap between cold, hard data and the beautiful, messy reality of just being human. So, we begin our journey with Milo. Now, Milo is a statistician for the Bureau of Statistics. He's a guy whose entire life is governed by numbers. And mathematically speaking, Milo has come to a pretty startling realization. The probability of you existing is zero. Literally zero. I mean, think about the specific chain of incredibly unlikely events going all the way back through human history, the formation of the planet, the burning of stars, everything required to make you, exactly you. Mathematically, you are an absolute impossibility. But this kind of abstract existential dread, it turns into a very literal mystery for Milo at work. And it starts super small. He's just at his desk, entering routine population data for his assigned district, Sector 11. The population number is completely mundane. It's exactly 342,887. Okay, but the very next day, Milo checks the source data again, and that number has ticked down to 342,886. One person is missing, but as he digs into all these cross-reference databases, there is absolutely no death certificate, no emigration form, no record of them moving away. It is literally as if that person just ceased to be. Now, Milo's a numbers guy, right? So he decides to quantify the terror. He digs deep into some cached archive systems from before a massive server migration, and he uncovers a seriously chilling pattern. Over the last 18 months, exactly 886 people have vanished from Sector 11 in exactly this same way. They didn't die. They didn't move. They were completely erased from the database, as if they never even existed in the first place. So he extracts a list of these names and goes out looking for them in the real world. And he finds what he calls seams in reality. Like, for example, Catherine Albert's apartment building. It's been inexplicably renumbered, completely hiding the fact that her unit, 6B, is just gone. Or Susan Choi's bustling restaurant. It's been replaced by a laundromat that the neighbors swear has been there for 12 years. Emmanuel Dark lived on the 4th floor of a YMCA that, well, now it somehow only has 3 floors. The physical world is literally closing over these missing people, kind of like skin healing over a wound. Milo realizes pretty quickly this isn't some weird computer glitch. It's a terrifying real-world concept, thermal equilibrium. In thermodynamics, equilibrium is just the quiet cessation of difference. It's when everything reaches the exact same temperature. And because there's no difference in energy anymore, no work can be done, nothing can happen. The universe doesn't go out in some huge explosion. It basically just yawns into a flat, gray average. Which brings us to a concept so fundamental it was actually carved right onto physicist Ludwig Boltzmann's tombstone. His famous equation for entropy reveals the massive cosmological scale of our mystery here. The universe constantly tries to increase entropy. It prefers the most probable, average, and uniform state of existence. It just naturally moves from order to disorder, from the highly specific to the completely interchangeable. So it turns out reality itself is acting like a mathematical function. Think of it like a giant universal averaging machine. It's ruthlessly rounding down what Milo calls the remainders. The remainders are those beautifully strange, highly specific people. The ones with the jagged edges and the weird, incredibly niche hobbies. The universe is rounding them down into the function, this smooth, invisible, gray, uniform average. And when a person's specificities are completely smoothed away, they are subtracted entirely. But here is the truly terrifying part of this whole phenomenon. This averaging, it doesn't just happen to us. It operates through our own consensus. Every single time we choose the comfort of the mean, every time we ignore the weirdness around us, or collectively agree to just look away from something improbable, we are actively empowering the function. We help erase reality. We actually help erase each other. Then, things get even weirder. Milo is contacted by a mysterious woman named Petra. Her emails are super spotty, her voice on the phone keeps fading into static. She tells him she's calling from the room. It's this state of pure background noise, basically a white room humming at exactly 60 hertz, which, by the way, is the exact frequency of American electrical current. It's the literal background of reality where all the subtracted are trapped. just desperately fading into the average. And she begs Milo to look at a notebook he doesn't even realize he's been writing in while he sleeps. So, Milo sets up his phone to record himself sleeping, and he discovers that his unconscious mind is furiously scribbling down this haunting gospel of thermodynamics. And right there on the page is the solution. Specificity is the only prayer entropy cannot answer. This is absolutely crucial. The only way to fight back against this universal erasure of existence is through absolute, stubborn, irreducible specificity. His sleep notebook basically outlines an impossible method to actually flip the arrow of time, to invert the function. Step 1, you have to find the subtracted people. Step 2, remember their hyper-specific details, not just that they existed, but exactly how they lived. And step 3, you have to speak those details out loud to break the consensus of the average. Because if probability is just the weight of agreement, then one person stubbornly disagreeing can actually change the physics of reality. Obviously, Milo decides to test this completely impossible theory. He focuses on that first name on his list, Catherine M. Albert. But he doesn't just remember her name. He channels the entire energy of his attention on her specifics. She cultivated really temperamental orchids. She drank tea by a very specific south-facing window. These aren't just little quirks, right? She was a specific, irreducible arrangement of atoms. So he heads over to the empty lot on Arbor Street where her apartment used to be. He stands right there on the sidewalk, and at the absolute top of his lungs, he shouts out this furious letter she once wrote to the local paper about community gardens. And guys, the impossible actually happens. The smooth concrete of the sidewalk cracks, and right out of that sterile dust, a tiny green orchid shoot emerges. His focused attention is literally acting as a thermodynamic force. But Milo realizes pretty quickly he can't do this alone, so he teams up with Petra's sister Lena at this local dive bar called Costello's. Together, they start building what they call a counter-census. They actually hand out dossiers of the erased people to the bar regulars, basically infecting them with the highly specific memories of the subtracted. They talk about how Dennis played a truly terrible trumpet at 6 a.m., exactly the kind of annoying detail that proves a person was real, you know? They share how Gloria fought fiercely for local swimming pools, and how Victor repaired shoes with red thread specifically because he was colorblind. And believe it or not, it starts working. The bartender, Russ, suddenly breaks a 3-year silence, remembering his own erased brother, Dennis Kowalski. Milo takes those specific memories straight to the utility closet that somehow replaced Dennis's apartment, and he reads them out loud. The air literally starts to shimmer. The frosted glass clears up to show the ghost of a man playing the trumpet, and an actual, physical, tarnished brass trumpet valve drops right onto the floor. By actively remembering these beautiful, messy anomalies, the residents of Sector 11 actually begin tearing open the seams of reality. All across the neighborhood, the evidence is mounting. A damp puddle smelling strongly of chlorine inexplicably shows up right where Gloria's swimming pool used to be. Ghostly adhesive letters remanifest on the window of what used to be Ming's garden. The distant sound of Dennis's terrible trumpet starts echoing in the alleyways. They are literally proving that memory, attention, and love are physical forces. They can actually push back against the entropy of the universe. So, as the universe constantly tries to round you down into the gray, uniform background of the average, as the world pressures you to just conform and smooth out all your jagged edges, I want to leave you with this really provocative thought from the text. What is your specificity? What makes you impossible to average? And ultimately, are you choosing to remain?